I had this idea to walk backwards every day for 40 days in a row here in July, August, and a little bit of September 2024. I used to walk backwards almost every single day since the pandemic for several years. And what's going to happen is every single day I'm going to record my thoughts and feelings that's going on for me in real time about the creative process or whatever else comes up for these 40 days. And you're going to hear, maybe 5 to 7 minutes per day of the best of recorded during that live walking backwards for about a quarter to a half of a mile per day. And it's in real time. So I'm really walking backwards as I'm talking with you outside. So enjoy the whole episode, and here we go. Today is the 31st August 2024. So here I am looking up at the sky in the morning, seeing the new moon. And as an artist, it's really important to have experiences, because experiences is how you know something. Unfortunately or fortunately, however you look at it, we grew up in a culture where to know something was to read about it, memorize it, and then when tested on it would have retained the information. That was to know it. I know my multiplication tables. I know my alphabet. I know the national anthem. That doesn't really mean you know it. That just means you're able to repeat it like a little trained animal. You learn a little circle and you get a treat. And this approach is to have an experience. And to have an experience is have a thought and a feeling about the experience. And when I have that kind of experience, it actually gets embedded, part of who I am. The retention of data is now being assigned to computers, artificial intelligence, the memory in a phone. So we don't really need a primary way. Yes, we need to be functioning. Yes, we need to build those muscles. And there's such a better, more fulfilling, life-enhancing way to work with this, which is to have experiences. When I have an experience, it layers on other thoughts and feelings, and I actually start to develop a full, rich life, as opposed to going through the day and just mechanically checking the box, doing all those little data things I'm supposed to do without having a thought or a feeling. When I give myself more experiences, and when I break the pattern of thought or the rote or the habituated, when I do that, I actually create space for more experiences, or a different kind of experience. Today, I was walking up the sidewalk, and as I got closer to the intersection to make my left-hand turn, I had more choice, because in the beginning, I would always cut the corner and walk through this little parking lot of the hotel instead of making a hard left. Went all the way up the sidewalk and made a hard left and didn't cut the corner. But now I have more choice. Instead of just the old habituated, or the way I'm used to doing, or that's just the way it's done, I gave myself another experience. Now, there's multiple ways of getting to this area that I walk backwards in, and I want to get here as quickly as I can, so I don't go other ways. But this one small adjustment gave me, following the work for a while, choice points are incredibly important for any kind of narrative. And the reason why it's so important for us to get is because when we tell a story, we're basing it on an experience. And that experience tends to not have that many choice points. We tend not to see them. And it's doubled in impact because we now know how it went. So why would we bother with something that didn't happen? We don't bother with it because we didn't see it as a choice point. And partly we didn't see it as a choice point because we didn't recognize it in the moment as a choice point. We, as a culture, don't recognize the choice points when they come up because we're too busy just ticking the box. We lost that thing, being present, because we're so focused on checking the box. We're so focused on stopping at the knowledge that today's the new moon. Did I see it? I had the opportunity. I talk to a lot of people and they say things like, I don't want things, I just want experiences. I'm totally cool with that. I'm totally cool with people having experiences. In fact, that's what this conversation conversation's about, right? But when I say I don't want things, I want experiences, they're making a delineation between two things that doesn't exist. To have a thing is to have an experience. In fact, to have a thing is to have a deeper experience most of the time. And a lot of people who say things like, I just want to have experiences, I don't know if they're really experiencing what they're experiencing, as opposed to checking the box. So, for instance, one of the main things that people say is, well, I don't want to buy a house, I don't want to buy a car, I just want to have an experience. I'll just rent a car whenever I need it. Rent a house or rent or whatever I need when I need it. The situation on that, though, is things are not things. Things are experiences. And to own a thing is to have a different level of experience. So if I spent my whole life we'll use a house for right now, renting a house, I never lived in it, I never owned it, I just lived in it. I could change houses every week, every month, every year. I don't own it, right? So I have the experience of living in a house, but it's quite different than buying a house and putting the roots down, putting your own floor down, planting trees, whatever it is. It's a different experience because it's not about the thing. It's about the experience. And you could say the same thing about a car. I could just rent a car. Well, renting a car has a certain vibe to it. And yes, I have the experience of having the convertible, but that's very different than owning a convertible. It's a different experience. And I got that experience because it's my thing. And I've talked to people that travel a lot. You can have a lot of experiences traveling all over the world, and you can go through that experience in the same manner I'm talking about, which is checking off the box. Check into hotel room, go downstairs for breakfast, check. Because I feel like what people are talking about when they talk about travel is to be open to that newness, the excitement, the possibilities. Well, that doesn't come from the travel, it comes from you. And every day can be like that, because it's coming from you. If I traveled 300 days a year, that would now become my habituated pattern, my experience. And then all of a sudden, travel doesn't have the same meaning anymore. People talk about the acquisition of things. Believe me, I'm not here to advocate for people buying stuff they don't want. That's not what we're talking about. That's the experience you want to have, go for it. You know what I mean? That's the feelings you want to have and the thoughts you want to have, go for it. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I am talking about is things bring experiences, and when things you somehow own or have in your day-to-day life, you have a different level of experience with it, and that different level of experience is everything. So our takeaways from today is knowing something from experience is very different than actually having experiencing something and knowing it from experience. Experiencing something that's I've chosen, that I own, is very different than having a thing where I'm just renting it. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying it's better or worse. It's just different. Thanks for coming by. Good morning. Today is the first day of September 2024, day 37. And it's the Labor Day weekend, so it is relatively quiet. That's something that I really enjoy. I really enjoy. Even if I'm not 100% familiar with the world, you can still feel when something is off, there's an anomaly operating. Part of that is being aware of the surroundings. I feel like I'm talking to you about like I'm a bank robber, or I do diamond heists, Something's not right here. Abort the mission. When I'm walking down the middle of the street, it actually feels more balanced, actually. Being present to oneself. Part of what we've talked about is how do I become more in the room, more present. And being present requires me to feel. And so I feel, which is what we were talking about earlier, actually, is feeling the space. So it's not just a reference point of what was gone before, but it's actually feeling into the place. Apparatus, and I'm actually being present to the response. So if I'm present and I'm having all of my sensations, all of them, and it has to do with what's present because it's real time. Actually, it wouldn't be any other response because it's based on present right here, right now sensations, then I wouldn't have anything else to do but that. And that presence is a very, very deep connection to myself. Change is one of the most alluring things. It's something that really takes attention. What I do know is what I experience, which goes back to that other day we talked about. See, as soon as I said that, right, that day we talked about, I'm referencing the past, and my attention goes to the past, and there's less presence here. So bring it back, right? Bring it back to the moment. In that presence, in that moment reality, I only know what I experience. That's all I can ever know. I can have information, but I don't know it. And the power of wondering is a powerful thing that we all do. We wonder, because wondering is wonderful. It's inspiring. I wonder what would happen if I just passed two people walking on the main street here, and clearly, since there's no one else on the street within blocks, they know each other, right? And they have a proximity. They're going somewhere, so they have a certain intentionality, and they both felt like they had a lot of experiences on the East Coast, more urban centers. And I got a sense of this other person that I passed, that they're running for exercise because of their outfit, but also because of the intensity that he brought to it, the hyper-focus, the hyper-vigilance. And as the saying goes, how someone does one thing, there's a strong likelihood he brings that to other stuff in his life. And the last lady I just passed, before we wind it up for today, had little to no presence. She was lost in her music. So isolating one of your senses so that I'm only getting, not really isolation, it's, what is that? Having a hyper-focus on one sense, which is one that you're personally curating, that is not a part of the environment, will definitely impact how you think and feel of other things that are operating in your life. Working on presence. See you tomorrow. Today is Monday, September 2nd, day number 38. For a long time, I worked with this of when I would walk down the sidewalks, I would walk down the middle of the sidewalk, feel what that felt like, and then I would pull to the hard left of the sidewalk, the far left side, the far right side, and to feel what that would feel like based on if there was buildings, cars, a hedge, or whatever it is. And we already talked about how to do that with people coming towards you as well, because then that silent navigation happens. So a car just came out of the driveway where I was, and I wasn't there. So it doesn't happen all the time. But that's odd. He went past me. Oh no, it's not a cul-de-sac, it's another alley. I'm not that far. So while all of this looks like so much fun, and I know you can't wait to do it too, walk backwards a third to a half of a mile every day and have experiences and all of that, and all the things we talk about, some might consider, a little odd. I look at it as if there's no difference between what I'm doing and what we're talking about here and someone practicing scales on a piano, although I get to do the standing up and they usually sit down. But other than that, and I'm not doing it, at least hopefully most of the time, not mechanically, because I'm working with my awareness, I'm working with my sensitivity, I'm working with my ability to be present, I'm working with being connected to how I feel, what feeling is going on within me, and how does that resonate. I could do the same training, I could do similar training, similar development tasks as someone involved in law enforcement or the CIA or some other nefarious organization. Assess an area, a room for anomalies. I could take up a certain amount of space and be the shining star and attract all the attention, or I could be someone you don't even notice, being on the edges of the wall. And I could be doing that both from a security perspective. Is there a security threat? Is there someone there that has ill intent? Is there something that's off in this room that I need to be aware of for security purposes? Is it safe? And we're not talking about that. We're talking about this in relationship to being alive, being present with my thoughts, with my feelings, with how it resonates within me, trusting myself, feeling my feelings and allowing them, noticing things, making discoveries, taking my time, reclaiming my time. Today I completed the cycle of walking backwards. And since there's so much space, I'm gonna go back and forth from walking backwards to transitioning to going forwards and back again, just so I can feel the shift, the change. And as I do it more and more, I feel myself have more ease. Very different than just sustaining it. Actually, having multiple transitions in a short amount of time creates a lot of facilness. And as a creative, as an artist, you want that facilness. You want to tend to procure your ability to exit and enter freely into multiple states by going deep in it, but at the same time having the ability to exit at will, not because I hit a contraction, not because I'm uncomfortable, but literally at will. And it's this doubling down of working like that. I get even more freedom. As I get more freedom, I get more freedom, because I'm not the victim of a state or a thought or a feeling. I'm hand curating. See you tomorrow. Okay, good morning. Today is day 39. So the two primary questions for any narrative that involves people, human beings, and the two are, who am I and what do I want? And the implication of those two questions is quite rich, quite deep. When I say what do I want, it implies that I want something. Who is it that's wanting something? Now, this is not a philosophical question, a primal question, not from a theoretical perspective. Who am I? And once I have the who am I am that I am, on Tatsaram, I am, right? Now there's an I to have a want. If there's no I, there cannot be a want. If I am a frugal person who wants to save money and save gas, then I might go get a Toyota Prius, because it fulfills not only what I want, which is I want to go from here to there and have transportation, but it also fulfills the who am I. This is who I am. So I'm going to make choices that are supporting the I am state. And let's say that I'm a character, I'm a girl just out of college, entering the workforce, everything's going well, and I am out to enjoy my life, be free-spirited, and have fun. So I might, from that I am state, I want to have those experiences, so I'm going to go get that I can just drive to the beach and have all those experiences, put my surfboard in the back. And so the car is an extension of that. But the car also has the car needs to have fun. The car needs to go to the beach because of the relationship that I started with, which is the relationship of between me and the I am state. Now that's very interesting, because if I take that, so that same girl, right, maybe 10 years later, maybe she's changed her I am state to I am a mom. And I am a mom, I'm caring, I'm nurturing, I need to do all these things, and I'm going to get a car that reflects that. So now this car, soccer mom car, goes to pick up and drop off kids and go to the park and have all this gear, all this stuff, right? So that car that's a reflection of the I am state actually needs to have those experiences. We want to fulfill our potential, our I am state. And so we get an object that supports it, but that object was designed to go certain places and to have different experiences with us. So if I wind up getting a sports car, that's speaking to my I am state. And in that I am state, I want to have these experiences. So I need to have this car, because this car is going to have these experiences. And to be, humorous, imagine a sports car going everywhere and doing everything that a soccer mom car would do in the places it goes. It wouldn't be fulfilled. It wouldn't hit its resonance. This all maps to who am I? So if I go after the who am I and what do I want and the experiences I want, then I'm going to match up with all of the objects in my persons, places, things that resonate with that and that also have the same trajectory. Every character has hopes and dreams. Every person has hopes and dreams. And what are my new persons, this person I'm developing, what are their hopes and dreams? What's current in their life, and what do they wish, what are they wanting, desiring to experience? And do they have alignment or non-alignment? Do they already have that, or are they yearning, wanting, wishing for that? This is something that's used a lot in comedies for the contrasting experience. The guy who wants to be the guru or the CEO or the leader, and then he goes out to the parking lot after work and gets into like a beat up 30-year-old car that's falling apart because it hasn't become his I am state, but he has a lot of desire. The fulfillment of all of the people, places, and things in your life are supporting, moving you towards those choices that you have made. Like the guy in the orange and black car, because of the kind of car it is. I'm assuming which is part of the who am I state, right? So my question is, you can use all this information for your character, for your narratives, and for driving your story forward. You can also use it for yourself as an artist, as a creative. As an artist and a creative, that's an I am state, yeah? And then you populate your life with certain things because you're an artist, because those things need to be fulfilled. Good morning. It is day number 40 here in the city of Angels. I was walking up the street and I thought I saw a dead animal, as it happens, when squirrels or whatnot run across the street, they get hit. And then happily it wasn't. It was just a piece of a palm tree. So that was attraction, repulsion energy that we work with. We're either attracted by something or repulsed by something. And then when you work in the world of transformation, storytelling, or character development, that attraction and repulsion is used in a very specific way. So we wind up in the beginning of narratives being super attracted to a person, a place, or a thing. And by the midway point, we're usually repulsed by it. So an example would be Pretty Woman. The guy's super attracted to the lady, right? And then it's actually a story of transformation. So she externally transforms and he internally transforms. And by the end, they're back to the mutual attraction, repulsion. You can have the polarity of that too, where the guy or the gal is sitting at their desk and they're fantasizing, attracted by their vacation that's going to start in a couple of days. And then they go on vacation, and then the very place that they thought was going to be so amazing is now going to cause them a lot of grief. So they're going to repulse. Everything that is used as approaches or ways of looking at certain aspects of narrative, those tools are really, really helpful in daily life. They're an indicator of what you don't want to do if you want a stress-free, open, harmonious life. Because all the things that we talk about are things that are going to increase the drama, increase the tension, increase the narrative, to make it more thrilling, to make it more exciting, right? But most people want to have a life where you have fulfillment. You're not so locked up into struggle. The thing that we would do in our day-to-day life, in our artistic, creative life, so that we don't go through the pain cycle, is to give something spaciousness, to go into deep, deep allowing, to realize that what we're doing right now is we're making up a story about this person, this place, this thing. Like, if only I could date this girl, right? If I could date this girl, then my whole life would be better, because look how amazing she is. And that, as we know, is just a setup. Or I can be really grounded in the moment, and I can just give everything a lot of spaciousness, a lot of space, a lot of breathing room, a lot of being present with what is. I'm not going to have conflict. I'm not going to have a drama around it, but my life will reflect a certain kind of balance. Getting really comfortable with transitioning is a really good idea. Getting really comfortable with change is a really good idea. In one way, for these 40 days together, I was changing something. I changed my perspective. I changed my approach to walking. In another way, I didn't change, because I did it every day for 40 days, right? There's a commitment. So it's this wonderful dance of being 100% committed to my physical action, emotionally, physically, spiritually, state of being, 100% in, and at the same time I'm able to enter and exit freely, to stop and start at will. The other thing I feel around this right now is an immense amount of freedom, personal freedom. I don't want to stop walking backwards with you. This is so much fun. If you could see the smile on my face right now, I feel very honored. I feel very grateful. I feel very transformed in a way. I was listening to this guy talk the other day about how when you do something, if it's done from an internal welling up, an internal desire, you've navigated that way from something intrinsic to you, how different it is than if it's imposed upon you. You're told what to do. And in those two worlds, the artist is definitely, the creative is definitely firmly planted in that internal world of allowing that to come up and out and to follow those instinctual pulsations as they arise and change and be with it in real time. Because this whole 40 days was, and continues to be, about increasing awareness, I wanted to increase my awareness. I wanted to allow my future to reveal itself. I wanted to allow more sense to come in through my periphery. And so I did this experience to allow that along. I had a clear intention of my interests. I had a clear intention of my growth area, but how it was going to happen, I don't know. I just had the feeling that if I walked backwards for an extended period of time, daily, I would open the door. I just saw a sign that said blocking your path. And my lack of awareness, or my limitation of my awareness, is an impediment to my path. And so when I woke up every morning outside of my comfort zone to do this experience with you, that's what's feeding it. That's what's helping me to show up. And I'm not even consciously thinking about that. It's how I'm operating. I gave a shout out to Vic, our video editor, and say to her, deep gratitude, deep thanks for all of your artistry, all of your skills and talents to make this series come alive the way you have. So thank you. To do video editing, to do audio editing is an integral part of the storytelling process. And this work that we've talked about as well is about developing your sense and sensibilities. And it is always my hope and my intention that the exercises or the things we talk about, or hopefully the things you get inspired by, create a space in your day-to-day life that you're constantly working with, exploring, growing as creative artists, as human beings, because that's the part that's endless. So I know we're going to have more time together. I know it. So that's part of what makes this possible, of saying au revoir. Au revoir. Vaya con Dios. Hasta luego. Thank you for these beautiful conversations. My hope and intent is that it helps your ongoing creative expansion in your creative life. It might even touch your day-to-day life. Blessings and thank you.